That must have been what it is. Hello, hello, hello. Hey guys, Dr. S here. A little tardy to the party, but we're here slowly waiting for Facebook to catch up with us. And we're live, Dr. A. So hello, hello, hello. Dr. S here hanging out with Dr. A. So Dr. S here dropping nuggets you didn't know you needed. And as always, it's my hope and prayer that they will help you be your best you. We are popping on for scripted love. We are bringing it back. Don't mind me. So while I'm, talking and being crazy, please share, tag somebody, um, all of the things. I'm actually going to tag some brothers since we are talking about brothers. We can get some male perspective, some testosterone, some um you know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to speak for the men. I don't know about you, Dr. A. I want to speak for the men.
Mm-mm.
So I'm gonna tag some folks. Share, 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 tag, tag, tag. So while we are waiting for individuals to join us, I just want to mention a couple of things, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. A. So I have a couple of things coming up that I want to mention to you. So for anyone, any lady in particular who is looking for an accountability group, like raise your hand if you did the vision board party already in these first 3 weeks. Raise your hand if you already, wrote your list and set your intentions. Raise your hand if you already have a plan of action for, quarter one, two, three, and four. And you know that if you try to go alone, you possibly won't get the things done. So you're looking for a group of like-minded believers who are going to help hold you accountable. They're going to support you, and they know the power of prayer and worship. If that is you, then I encourage you to join me and other individuals for SWAG, which stands for Support, Worship, and Accountability Group. It's going to be virtual, so you don't have to be in St. Louis. You can be, anywhere in the state of Missouri. You can be anywhere in the world. We would love for you to join us. It's only going to meet 6 times, so we're meeting once every other month, starting next month on the 19th, 6:30 Central Standard Time. So if that's something that might be of interest to you, then feel free to hit me up and let me know and get you registered. You can go to drshalay.com/current events to do that. The other thing that I want to mention, so while you're at drshalay.com/current events, I would encourage you to go ahead and register for a Whole Woman Expo, which is a new thing. If you've been around for the past 5 years, you may have heard about Roar Like a Lioness Women's Conference. And so this year, God switched it up a little bit, and we're doing a Whole Woman Expo where we'll be talking about the 4 major dimensions of a whole woman. So that's eternal, emotional, entrepreneurial, and external. We're going to have panelists and speakers and vendors, and it's going to be fire. And I want you to be there. So go register for the support group, register for a Whole Women Expo. Now that I've done all of my preliminaries and all of the things, I'm going to give Dr. A an opportunity to introduce herself.
Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Anissa Williams, but affectionately called Dr. A by those who know me. I'm super excited for this conversation. Full disclosure, this was the first time I watched The Wood completely through when it was time for us to watch it. So I'm just really excited about getting into this conversation, especially with the unique twist of looking at it from movies of male-centered characters. So brief, for those who don't know, who didn't see season one, girl, we got seasons. Season one of of Scripted Love. We are now in season two. I went on a mini rant looking at pretty much a lot of people's favorite movie, which was To Complete That Game. And I've just began to go down this whole processing with Dr. S about how I feel like movies that were popular in the late 90s, early 2000s may have played a part in how we as especially black people, especially black women, view relationships. So they started these episodes of Scripted Love. So just excited to get into it.
Yes. So yes, as mentioned, I hadn't even thought about it as like season one and season two. But yes, if you are interested in seeing season one, you can check out my YouTube channel and watch all six of the episodes that we did between the course of like the last few months of 2024 and the
Like
first
the
couple of months of
last,
2025. Uh-oh.
it was me, sorry.
Okay, I was like, what happened?
Trying to look at the comments and have, yeah, I'm doing too much,
All
sorry.
of the things. So yeah, so if you want to go back and check out that season, you can do that there. So we focus on like, the rom-coms from the female kind of perspective, which, typically that's what rom-coms are, right? They're usually like, was it chick flicks, right? So we really wanted to highlight it from the black female version, and we had discussed like, hey, it's a few black love rom-com movies that are more from the male perspective. And we had talked about doing that in 2025, and 2025 just got away from us. And so here we are now. So we are going to talk about the wood, as she mentioned, today, and shout out to those of you who are popping on and joining us. Welcome. Say hey in the comments. Be sure to tag and share this video. And as we're talking, let us know what you think about the movie, if you've ever seen it, what your thoughts are, and if there are other Black love rom-com movies that focus on guys that maybe we're not familiar with. Let's hear about it. So, Dr. A, want to tell us a little bit about like the characters, the premise of the movie?
So yeah, so the Wood centers three, which is interesting because there's usually four characters in these types of situations, but it centers three men: Roland, Slim, and Mike. It starts where Roland goes missing. He's about to get married, and adult Roland goes missing, and he's about to get married. And it's one of those movies that do like the nostalgia flashbacks and then come back to the present as the present is actually happening. So it centers, I believe it was Mike that moved from North Carolina, which by the way, he was from Winston-Salem. I think.
Let's just time out for a minute. Because when this movie first came out, we was like, what? Trey for representing for the North Cackalack. And then he started talking, and we were like, we do not sound like that.
Man, everybody who not in the South thinks Southerners walk around like Huckleberry Finn.
We do not. I was personally offended. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. But shout out for the Trey
Shout
folks.
out. I was like, oh, look, but probably why I need to watch this movie now because I wouldn't have had no understanding what Winston-Salem was. But if you don't know, the Wood is short for Inglewood, California, suburb of LA. So the movie to me is really a coming. It's more centered on the coming of age parts, but there are some good parts that pull out as they are in their adult life, as they are, reflecting back and forth and how their interactions with women. Roland, I feel like is visibly afraid to get married. Hence, he goes missing and ends up at his ex-girlfriend house. So, number one, that won't fly. Like you on your wedding day, you got two best friends, and you went to your ex-girlfriend house like that. That already won't fly. So yes, it was really for me, like I said, this is the first time that I saw it all the way through. I've always come in on parts. And so starting from the beginning and looking at just looking at it all the way through was pretty interesting. But like I said, I pulled more from when they were adults. I pulled more, I guess, like themes from when they were adults versus when they were in their kid scenes.
Okay. All right. Let's so before we get to the adult part, because I agree, like it's the very interesting like flashback. Um, and maybe that's like a thing, because I think The Best Man does that as well.
Mhm.
And I can't remember if the movie, The Brothers,
Mhm.
does that. But before we get to them being adults,
Mhm.
let's talk about their teen years. So one, this person, Mike, relocating literally across the country
Mhm.
from the East Coast to the West Coast, and what that might have been like as a teenager,
Mhm.
experiencing this culture shock. Basically,
Mhm.
my assumption of what would be a culture shock, coming from, Winston has his own stuff, but this perception of like the slow Southern backwood personality to now you like gang life. They was like, what set you with? He was like, said what you mean? Like
Mhm.
these kind of conversations that's not even his thing, or
Mhm.
like, they were fast. So they was like, we'll give you $1 to touch the girl butt. So just
Mhm.
just that making that shift as a young person.
Mhm.
And so that's one thing that stood out to me. And then also like how quickly they bonded. Yes, it's a movie. And
Mhm.
also,
Mhm.
you 12, 13, you knew a couple of cats immediately take you under their wing
Mhm.
and kind of help show you the ropes. Now, albeit they might get you in trouble a little bit, but you're not having to do it alone. And then one other thing, while we're still focused on the teenage part, it's just the teenage hormones. Now, hopefully some guys will pop on because as I said, I don't know if it before when I tried to make the little blurb for this, I was like, we don't know everything and we're clearly not guys. And so, men, please pop on and share your thoughts. But like I don't remember it. Well, I was fast. So maybe they don't count. I feel like there were some people in middle school, they not think as girls, you're not like, oh, look at him. Oh, look. Oh, you're like reading your books and hanging out with your girlfriends. You may be still plaiting hair. But
Mhm.
they were like, let's see who can get it first. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh. So anyway, what were your thoughts about that, Dr. A?
I'm not a fan of showing R-rated movies to young girls, but this is a cautionary tale because those boys was one word, trifling, to bet over it, right? But again, I don't know boy culture. I do realize that that's the coming of age, and possibly, in as a middle school teacher, I have seen the gamut. I have seen where they have their innocence is intact, and I have seen I could tell who knocking who down, like just by the way they talk to each other. So I as the girl, and it was interesting from when they were in middle school to as they moved to high school. Like I felt like Roland, which I maybe why the movie centered around him specifically getting married, which is again something we could talk about. Roland was the more hypersexual one. You as you know when he was in the dance, he didn't walk in 10 feet and some girl grabbed it. Like he was like the not the pretty boy, but the playboy, right?
Mhm.
And and so it was interesting, like you said, like the middle school girls, they playing double dutch and they on, boys on one side, girls on the other side. But as they mature and you start to see the scenes of them carrying the bet out, right? Like how some and the what the girls were saying was hilarious. Like I forgot, I guess it was Mike, where they're doing their thing and she was like, but I'm a Christian. I'm like, y'all like y'all like already halfway through the mark. Like now is not the time to be having that conversation. And so it was just really interesting that to see how they went about like that that was, you know what I mean? That was just like,
Mhm.
again, boy culture. I'm not necessarily sure because like you said, as girls in middle school and high school especially, like that was the last thing on my mind. Um,
Mhm.
so it was just interesting to see uh the how they play those scenes out, like with the bet and everything. And I
Mhm.
will give it to again, this is a movie, but I will give it to Mike because it wasn't about for him it wasn't about like quantity. Like he
Mhm.
tried it, wasn't successful, but once he got with Alicia, which was the girl whose butt he touched. Side note, you ain't my friend if you know her brother's a gang member and I'm getting beat up. You are not my
Exactly.
friend. You should have warned me that on the front end.
Right.
I took this bet. But he was like, when she gave him his number backing up, sorry, they were trying to see how many numbers they can get at this dance. And when he got her number, his friends were like, "Oh, you win!" Like like
Mhm.
she was that was the prize to them. So again, looking at even those dynamics, like they knew she was a good, not I mean a good girl, a popular girl. She was one of quality. She was one of substance. They were like, she don't even compare to the other girls who were in the dance. So I thought that was very interesting.
That is very interesting, and I wonder, like, this was absolutely a movie that could have had a part two if they had
Hmm.
wanted to, because it kind of ended with the cliffhanger of what happened with
Right.
Mike and the young lady.
Hmm.
But so, like, as we're talking about Black love,
Hmm.
particularly from the male perspective, I feel like we hear, at least has been my experience in life and also movies, it is kind of like the black man is the player. He's the one, he not trying to settle down. He's not trying to get married. He just out here trying to hit it and quit it. How many numbers can he get? How many notches can he get in his belt? Like that is the persona
Hmm.
of some
Hmm.
black men. And then by the time you morph into adulthood, it's kind of like, well, there are no good black men, or all you still a player. At this point, now you got 15 baby mamas because you've been out here running the field. You're not, trying to settle down or whatever. And so it was interesting to see that from the teenage perspective, that it is very easy to kind of fall into that persona and or perceive black men as being like that when there are black men who were like Mike,
Hmm.
who, you know, because my peer group was kind of trying to do
Hmm.
that. But if I don't, it's okay. And then when he did, it wasn't like, oh, let me run and get this money. It was, I care for her. And
Hmm.
so I'm going to keep this secret. And so I think that was like one of those interesting um dynamics that I don't think we always explore, that there really are good, decent men, black men in particular, who are out in the world, who aren't running the streets, who aren't, just trying to see who they can get with, and who do want to be in a stable, committed relationship.
Hmm. Hmm. I loved how like you said, how quickly, again, it's a movie, but how quickly they bonded and how quickly, again, being in a school and seeing that's not always the case. It sometimes takes, when the new kid come and being a new kid, like it just sometimes just take so much time, but they accepted him, how he was, like country accent and all, even though it was overly exaggerated. Country accent and all, like he could have been all kind of country bumpkins and you don't know what you're doing and going on, and like it could have been all of that, but they really embraced him. It was like, man, let's take you under our wing when you get yourself hurt out here. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing that I feel like you may not see all the time, is just like that unity of, let me watch out for you, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't know, so as opposed to, again, minus the getting beat up by the girl brother, like you really don't know what's out here, and we want to make sure that you are, just
Mm-hmm.
how they took him. I feel like it was they really looked after him. And as again, the persona of the black man, I don't think we talk about like how black men really do have this like, we care for you.
Mhm.
Let me watch out for you because you don't know, and let me just spit game. You don't gatekeep, that's the word.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't
That's
see a lot of that.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think we know, like, just from social media,
Hmm.
there are pockets where it is very much, the black man can and all these different social media sites that are specific to supporting, uplifting, showing, black men in a very positive light. And
Hmm.
it's like, how do you transition that information from these little pockets on social media to like the broader um screen, uh like mass media, those kind of things. And so I think that's great that you mentioned that.
Hmm.
One thing I was thinking about as you were talking about them is, so we talked about Mike, we talked about Roland, was Slim. So his character was really interesting to me. One, because how they presented him in his youth was not how they presented him as an adult. So in his youth, he was very much kind of like the jokester. He didn't take anything very seriously. You, low key kind of presented like he was dumb.
Hmm.
Like he was your boy, he had your back, but like anything academic related, it kind of was like, I'll go play sports.
Hmm.
And so I think that, so on one hand, that's how he was as a youth, but by the time he got into adulthood, he was like way more serious and like, I don't know, like very much like I remember there's a scene when Ro got sick and he was like, dude, I just bought this car. These Ferragamos. And I'm like, well, first of all, this is how much I didn't know because I didn't know what Ferragamos were. I didn't know that was a thing, right? I didn't know a navigator was a thing. Looking at it now, I'm like, okay, his character was balling.
What?
And so it's interesting to see again how like we transition from this again, kind of what we may hear or think to be of a black man, not academically challenging, very much athletic, da 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 da. But then somewhere along the line, he transitions into this, very serious, um, re responsible, got it together guy. So yeah, what were your thoughts on Slim? Hey guys.
Even that, and how like I feel like it was twice. They in Adult Slim, they had to warn him like, don't come in here starting no like
Hmm.
because he had, I'm not gonna say he had no filter, but he was the truth teller as an adult. Like you said, as a young man, he was very much like ball is life. Like you said, not academic. He was loyal. I will give him that. Even as an adult, he may not have agreed with Roland necessary getting married, and we're gonna get to that pizza scene as
Hmm.
adults. But he was still loyal. He said, I'm still gonna be in your wedding, even though I don't agree. Like, so the shift for him to me was interesting, how he went from trying to be a playboy, because I feel like every when the bet was happening, that was what was going on.
Hmm.
They were being, quote unquote boys or whatever. But as an adult, yes, very responsible. Yes, he was balling, but I'm not gonna say he had anger towards women. He was like, yeah, like the way he would um what is it, share his truth, the way he was very blunt with what he said. And it makes me wonder what happened between teenagehood to manhood.
Yeah.
They were all like on the same page, they all grew up together in the same community, so it makes me wonder what specifically happened with Slim to where he kind of had this, again, it wasn't hatred, it wasn't vitriol. I do believe he hadn't found the one that probably
Hmm.
could keep him on his toes or whatever. Um, But yeah, it I just was like, what happened? Because he talked to the ex-girlfriend crazy. He talked to the bride crazy. Like he would talk about their former girlfriend. It was just
Hmm.
I ain't following no woman. Like like it makes
Hmm.
me wonder what happened between childhood and manhood.
That is great. So if Tyler, if you ever happen to see this video, Shonda, Ava, any of y'all ever happen to see this, let's do a revamp of the wood. Let's bring that back because we have questions.
Got so many
There's
questions.
there's so many unanswered,
Hmm.
uncovered parts that we need to know about. So that is one of them. Like, what happened, man? Like, was college hard? Like, who broke your heart?
Who broke your heart?
What's happening?
That's what it's giving. It's giving he was in love with somebody and it didn't work out. And maybe she wanted him to go somewhere and he wasn't doing it, or he wanted her to stay and she was like, bye. Like something that like who broke your heart? Yes.
Right. Interesting. Another thing that I was thinking about is so we talked a little bit about what was the girl character name? I didn't Lisa?
Alicia.
Alicia.
Hmm.
So Mike basically we just gonna say loved
Hmm.
Alicia from the very beginning, but they were friends
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
years. And I know in other conversations that we've had about rom-coms and just relationships in general is the benefits to having these platonic friendships.
Hmm.
And so I'm curious, um, your thoughts, people who are, on the live, people who may watch the replay, what are your thoughts on platonic friendships specifically, where in your youth? Because I know for me back in the day I would be like, some of my best friends are guys,
Hmm.
right? I'm like, I get along better with guys than I get along with girls, and so it seems like a good idea, but
Hmm.
like in retrospect I'm like, they probably liked me, or conversely I probably liked them,
Hmm.
but for whatever reason, it just never went beyond that. So
Hmm.
I don't know. It just seems like platonic friendships in youth
Hmm.
hits different than it does in adulthood. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I think so. I don't know because I think about that. I was the same way. I feel like I interacted better with boys. Maybe because I grew up with more boys. Like my cousin who's above me, a boy, and it was just more boys than girls. And so I don't know. I definitely can't say the best friend I'm thinking of. I can definitely say we did not like each other. So I'm thinking about their dynamic, Alicia and Mike, and I like you said, Mike loved Alicia almost from the start. Like he knew that was the part he never, other than the bed, which again, he never really like took anyone else seriously. So even when they got to high school and they're just having their friendly conversation, they're just going back and forth talking about homecoming, it I I think it leads into that, to what you're saying. I think it leads into there if there were prior feelings. If we just grew up together and we're just friends because we grew up together, I'm not saying it's not possible, because that's how, like you said, a lot of rom-coms like kind of evolve. Like they're friends first, they're childhood friends, and Love and Basketball is another
That's
example
what I
where
was just thinking.
they were childhood friends, but I think the shift is maybe, and I think this is in adult relationships too. I think the shift is with childhood friends. I'm not sure, like some people in their dynamic really honor the growth that each of them
Mhm.
do. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm your childhood friend, I'm your homie, I'm your home girl. Like, I may keep you stuck like that in my head. Because I was one of them. Any movie I used to watch and they were childhood friends, I would want them to make it. Like, it made no sense to me that like they would be childhood friends, but then they break up and they married somebody. Like, it just made never made sense to me. But I think as I'm thinking about this, I think that dynamic, if it is a platonic relationship that grows into a romantic relationship, like looking at, I think that's why some people who are like high school sweethearts and then they break up, go away to college and like marry a college sweetheart, is
Mhm.
because they only look at them as this is how we were in high school. Like
Mhm.
I think experiencing that a little bit, people that I knew when I was younger and then I met again when I was older, I felt like you still think I'm that girl in high school and I'm not. I'm just not that person anymore. So I think being malleable, for lack of a better word, like
Mhm.
being able to navigate those changes because we are not the same people. I feel like I'm talking all over the place. I feel like this not. But I just feel like it's some credence to that. Like, yes, it hits different, but I think we don't grow with we don't,
Mhm.
like, our affections don't grow as we grow physically. Like, right? You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
we don't honor that. Hey, yeah, I used to like when you push me on the playground, but now at 15, I don't like that no more. Now at 25, it's not cute no more. Like, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? So I think we sometimes get stuck in those patterns.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it too, whether it's someone that you were childhood friends with, or just as we age, we don't shift our thinking and how to interact with the other person. So yeah, so like when I'm 12,
Hmm.
8 or whatever, if we playing hide and seek or dodgeball and we cracking jokes and stuff, that might be cute in middle school, maybe even in high school, but like post college,
Hmm.
like we talking about paying rent, right? Or, what are we doing to prepare for success? And so if the way you're interacting with me is still childlike, childish, maybe even, then we can be cool, but it'll be unlikely that it'll progress beyond that because now we're on something else.
Hmm.
So it made sense to me what you were saying.
I think, and even going back to platonic relationships, and as they can possibly grow in romantic relationships, I think because I've experienced it, and maybe you have too. Like when you are in a platonic thing, then it switches over to romantic. You feel what I felt like. I'm put me. I felt like I'm now more self conscious about things versus when we were just friends. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I could, I felt like I was more my guard was more down, or maybe I was more authentic. But whenever that switch go off and now we're romantic, it's now I'm self-conscious. I might clam up. I might be like the that space may not be the same, and I think that transition again is something that we don't always know how to navigate because a lot of us don't have either that blueprint, our parents may
Hmm.
have not shown us the way. So even thinking about that, like it should, to me, my logic mind, it should make sense. Like if we were friends and now we're romantic, it should be a smooth transition, but for
Hmm.
whatever reason, it's not always the best transition. And so I think again it's just that change we have to be able to navigate, right? Like
Hmm.
again, to me it should be simple, but
Right.
sometimes it's not.
Yeah, that's true. Again, we need the wood revamp because we
Yeah.
we got questions and I want to know what happens with them in adulthood because they reconnect at the wedding.
Hmm.
We want to know what happened. I want to
Hmm.
know what
Right.
happened. One thing we didn't talk about, kind of circling back to the youth part and quality over quantity,
Mhm.
and how you don't advocate for young people to watch R-rated movies, was their intimacy scene, being delicate on the public platform, and how. So let me, before I say what I'm going to say, as a disclaimer, I am not advocating for any particular type of behavior. I'm referring to what happened in the movie.
Mhm.
Let's just say that. So in the movie,
Mhm.
Ali Alicia. Why I can't remember her name.
Mhm.
Alicia. Okay. She was, at this point, maybe because time has passed, she's, feeling Mike. Now they both are going to the
Mhm.
prom or whatever with separate people,
Mhm. Mhm.
but she invites him into her home, into
Mhm.
her bedroom,
Mhm.
and they're, having conversations, and then it progresses into something else.
Mhm.
Now, Black love, rom-com, how this may impact relationships. There's a reason why I'm mentioning this.
Mhm.
Is because one, Mike ain't know what he was doing, which he shouldn't know what he's doing because he's a child.
Mhm.
So that
Mhm.
the part that is interesting to me is that as we talk about transitioning into adulthood is when you have these opportunities when you have these opportunities for intimacy at such a young age and no one knows what they're doing,
Mhm. Mhm.
then how that might carry on into later life because she ain't know,
Mhm.
you know, like he
Like, is this supposed to look like
it was
that?
so funny to me because he was like, "Yep," and she was like, "Doo doo doo." So I'm like, these are the kind of things that, again, not advocating for this particular behavior, just acknowledging the fact that sometimes when these things happen and they carry into adulthood, then we wonder why everybody dissatisfied because
Mhm.
don't nobody know what they're doing.
Nobody know what
Oh.
they're doing, and
Mm.
now you set up like let me back up. Not advocating for this type of behavior, and have conversations. People that got kids, so so you may not be able to stop everything, and have productive conversations because them not knowing, to your point, Dr. S, set up for like it can set up for just like you said, we don't know what this is supposed to be like, or it could be the inverse. It could be, oh, now I'm just with everybody, right? You know what I mean? So, have these conversations. I think again, possibly those conversations were not had. Like I think the perspective, maybe my own perspective, is that we don't always, it's always the don't do it. It's never why don't do it. It's never like, oh, you're feeling that way. Tell me about that. I'm always, not to put her business out there, but I'm always marveling at how Dr. Sha-Lai deals with her sons. I'm like, boy, I can hear my mama go off. If I if I would come, she would tell me. I'm like, I hear my mama screaming in my head. And so, but the how she and she's very like firm, but like she's created a space for him to come. She don't have to ask him nothing. He'll come tell her. You know what I mean? So it's have these conversations. Don't shy away from them because, and this is just speaking from a practitioner point of view, because they may, my mom used to say, I'd rather tell you instead of you finding out in the street, right? And it's not just the one thing about, pregnancy or STDs. It's like what you were saying. It can lead to some long term of I didn't know what I was doing. So now you what I'm saying? Like I don't know how to present intimacy with someone. I don't know how to hold space for intimacy with someone because I did this unknowing, and now I have taken this misconstrued knowledge into my adulthood
Mhm.
and thinking this is normal.
Absolutely. Thank you for the shout out, by the way. So as you said, it made me think about there was actually a scene in the movie when Mike's mom could have
Hmm.
had a moment with him to talk about like, he trying to do his little Michael Jackson dances and he dancing with the rabbit.
Hmm.
And his mom was like, "So who got you dancing? Like what's going on?" And so, having a conversation with like, okay, so who is this young lady? What do you like about her? Why do you like her? What might it look like if blah 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 blah? And, again, it's a movie, it's an hour and a half, whatever. Theoretically, these conversations could have been had.
Mhm.
But I do think um there are opportunities that go missed
Mhm.
between adults and children for various reasons. So, even me, because I felt the need to make this disclaimer, for those of us in the Christian church, like, oh my gosh, don't. But if
Mhm.
we don't talk about it,
Mhm.
somebody gonna talk to them about it,
Or they gonna find out
or they gonna
in the
find
movie.
out. And so, wouldn't it be so much better if we had those open, honest conversations with them so they are knowledgeable and they are making informed decisions? So, like the young lady, she knew enough to be like, I ain't trying to have a baby. We need protection, which she may or may not have known from her parents, possibly from her older brother. But like, as we talk about this love, is it love or is it lust? Is it love or is it infatuation? Is it love or is it I'm just horny? You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? I'm a teenager and I
Mhm.
have all of these hormones, popping off. But
Mhm.
like if I don't have anyone that I trust who's going to give me honest information about how I'm feeling and how to navigate those feelings,
Mhm.
then it could, end up very different for whatever reason. Real quick, Dr. A, when I said what I just said, I don't know if this will count as a rom-com. I feel like it wouldn't, but it popped in my head is Baby Boy. Like when you don't have these conversations,
I'm fine with a negative one, but
right? You know what I'm saying? When you don't have these conversations, here are some of the things that can happen. So anyway, I don't know if it'll make the cut, but um it popped in my head as soon as we were just talking about like these decisions. Okay, go ahead.
no, no, I was like, it could make the cut to again talk about what not to always do. No, I think that's really, really good. And then again, making these decisions as we now are older and now know this, making these decisions before your primary decision center is fully formed, it's not always again the best idea. Again, I get it. Like again, I live in teenage world. I used to be one of those staunch. I remember when I first heard of people passing out protection at schools. I used to be like, "Why would y'all do that?" I'm like, "No, yeah, they gonna figure out to be protected." Me, I'm wasting my breath telling you not to when you already got your mind made up. Like in this movie, like their minds were made up. They was gonna do whatever they needed to do, and so like you said, she had the wherewithal to be like, I'm into you and all that, but
Babies.
go, go see my brother down. So
Yeah.
yes, have the conversations. Don't I mean the it yes, as much as you squirm is as much as they're squirming. So y'all might as
Mhm.
well just squirm together and
Right.
and at least make it open to so you can share things.
Absolutely. One other thing that stood out to me, in the movie, shifting back to adulthood,
Mhm.
was well, you said you were going to talk about when they were at the pizza parlor. So let you say what you were going to say, and maybe what I was going to say aligns with what you was going to say.
Yeah, so at the pizza parlor after after Roland has sobered up, after they um get Roland out of his ex's house and they're going many different places. It was interesting. I feel like, and if I'm remembering right, when Roland they're kind of it's kind of coming to light while Roland is running. He's like everything's gonna change. It's always been us. It's I feel like he said when I asked her to marry me, why y'all didn't stop me? I don't know if I'm making it up, but I
I
feel
don't remember, maybe.
I don't remember, but it was. I feel like it was something to that effect of like he was afraid of the change. Like these have been his partners pretty much his entire life. They've gone through everything together, and them talking about like why he wanted he wanted to marry the young lady, or like just him spit. Like, that was a pivotal moment in the movie for me, when, like, as adults, like, again, we've seen them as children, but now they're grown men, and just sharing their thoughts on like permanent and lifetime. And I feel like this is where we found out how Mike and Alicia wasn't still together. I think she wanted to go somewhere, and Mike had actually got accepted to a school close to her, but he chose not to go. And so it's interesting that Roland was the one that, like, I'm not gonna stay here with y'all. Like, my woman want me to like go, but on the flip side, he was afraid of that change, which is
Mhm.
what caused him to get drunk, run anyway. He was afraid of the change.
Yeah, absolutely. Afraid of the change. And I think what stood out to me about that conversation was, I think it was Slim said, or maybe Ro did say it, but it was something about basically he was relocating for the
Mhm.
wife. Like, she sounds like maybe had the better job or this job opportunity, and
Mhm.
how he was relocating for her, and that wasn't necessarily traditionally how it was done. So not
Mhm.
only am I, breaking up the Three Musketeers, I am, and I'm absolutely reading into this,
Mhm.
I am, losing some of my, masculine energy, some of my alpha male energy, because I am sacrificing to go
Mhm.
with her, as opposed to it being like, oh, I want to stay in the wood, or we do it this way because, I'm the breadwinner or whatever. And so, not only in my mind, again, maybe I'm absolutely reading this into
Mhm.
it, not only it being my friendship, my friendships are possibly shifting, like who I am as a man.
Mhm.
Right, because
Mhm.
I'm the player, right? I have women chasing after me. And now here I am running behind this woman
Mhm. Mhm.
in this job, because she got this job. So yeah, so I was like, who again? We
Mhm.
need a we need a revamp.
And that was definitely Slim's perspective. Like, you don't follow no woman. Like, I'm not getting nobody's ever gonna get me to do what I don't want to do. And I feel like in that conversation, like, and that's very, very insightful. Like, this is not only his friendships, but even his, like you said, very identity was being shifted. And it came out like, but she's worth it. Like, I love her. Like, I'm gonna do it because I love her. And that's very, like, yes, that's very, very insightful. I had not thought about that.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, I have one more thought as we talk
Hmm.
about, like, okay, so he's feeling away.
Hmm.
The way that he chose to deal with that
Hmm.
was not have a conversation with his soon to be wife
Or his friends.
or his friends, but to go to his ex-girlfriend house, and even talk about, yeah, I'm gonna tap that and da 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 da. So rather than have a grown up conversation about how he was feeling, he
Hmm.
did what he did. So that's
Hmm.
one thing. As adults,
Hmm.
how do we have these hard conversations, or as Dr. A calls them, these courageous conversations?
Hmm.
And then also, is that a red flag
Hmm.
that wifey needs to be mindful of?
Hmm.
Because I mean, that's a pretty drastic response that I don't believe would be the first time that somebody responded like that.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
maybe you don't go to the point of getting drunk and going to your ex-girlfriend's house, but you don't communicate in a healthy way
Hmm.
when things are coming up. And so, that just, even as we were talking, I don't think I thought about that when I was watching the movie, but since we've been talking, like, I thought about that, like, how, in what other ways could he have expressed those concerns about the transition versus what he actually did? And do we need, if it's not a red flag, is it a pink flag? Is it a
Hey.
strike flag? Is it something, you know what I'm saying? Something we should just have an eyeball on, as we're
I
moving forward.
yeah, I think oh that's good. I think I don't know if it because I think it did not come out because I think she would have been way madder than she was had it came out where he actually like the fact that he was already like just went ghost on their wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
But to say where he went, I she probably been way madder than than um than what she was. It struck me as he went back to what he knew.
Mm.
Right. He's growing up, he's getting married, but he went back to play his, play a role. And even though that was his ex-girlfriend, he went back to I'm gonna be reckless out here
Mhm.
versus like manning up and calling the fiance, or again you have two friends that you share
Mhm.
everything with. Why they wasn't the first thing, the fact they had to go looking for you was interesting. um so ugh, I think it's something to keep an eye on because, and I think we all do it. I think we go back to now. Comfort don't necessarily mean right. Like
Correct.
comfort don't mean
Correct.
healthy. But I do think it's something to keep an eye on because again, we all do it. We tend to revert back to that comfortable place because it's what we know. We shy away from the unfamiliar because we don't know what's going to go on. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how it's going to turn out. I would say that's something to keep an eye on.
Mhm.
I would say that would be something for me, like just as a woman. That's why I wish the men would come on here and tell us, like, tell
Oh,
us, should we feel a way if our fiance go ghost on our wedding day and then come out that he
Wednesday. Right. Yeah, yeah. So the men gotta watch the replay and y'all have to answer the questions. Because that is curious to me.
Mhm,
Like I get it, this whole concept of cold feet and
mhm,
being nervous and all of that kind of stuff. I would like to think though that if there have been those kind of feelings, that
mhm,
those conversations have happened well before an hour,
mhm,
before we're supposed to walk down the aisle and all our family and friends are
mhm.
waiting and all of those things. So anyway, all right. Anything else about the movie that I didn't mention or we haven't talked about yet?
Going back to the strength of their friendship, I think as grown men, I think they did a really good job at holding Roland accountable and like giving him the space to share because he did eventually share. Slim said his little off comments every now and again, but he was like, "Sir, I bought this suit. You finna go get married." Like, I don't care nothing about how you feel. You finna go get married. But I thought there was a really good display of, again, something I don't think I always see, or maybe depending on how the movie is made, of how they held his feet to the fire, but they were
Mhm.
still they gave him that space to share and in a way guided his thinking back like, oh, I'm tripping, which is again going back to the previous question, which you should have did in the first place, so we don't have these hijinks ensued, and you know what I'm saying. But
Projects.
even in even in that, so it's important to me that whomever I am in relationship with, you got to have a community of friends that won't be yes men, that won't be trying to lead you, because they could have very well been like, you know what, F that girl. Let's just
Mhm.
go be whatever. Like, but they didn't do that. They really held him accountable and guided him back to like basically himself, like, hey, you messing up, go get you, we got a wedding we got to go to. So I really
Mm.
appreciated that.
That's such a good point because they absolutely were there for him from
Mhm,
youth to then to, like you said, to be there in their tux, going to search for him,
mhm,
going to the, 1 hour cleaners with him,
mhm,
helping him sober up, getting them there, talking to the, fiance, soon to be wife. Like, yeah, they were holding it down in true friendship. And I think Again, that's something else that we've talked about in other contexts is of, this whole like cancel culture, or like when in friendships, when something doesn't happen like we would like it to happen, we don't have these conversations, and then these great friendships get thrown by the wayside, you know. So you're right. I love that in this movie they represented like this really strong brotherhood
Mhm.
that persisted over,
Yeah.
10, 12, 15 years and beyond.
Hmm.
I love it.
Okay.
I don't know if, because I know people were like popping on, but I don't know, since Zoom is being weird. I don't know if that was a challenge for some people like to watch the video. So I apologize for that. We're gonna figure this out.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that was it for this month. So we'll be back next month, the fourth Thursday of the month, at least for February and March, because we have two other movies to discuss.
Hmm.
The Brothers and also The First Best Man. We might bring up Baby Boy. I don't know. We can think about that. And if there are other kind of male focused black rom-com movies that you think we should add to the list, please let us know, because we legit could not think of any others that are kind of like this traditional for friends
Hmm.
um black rom-com movie. So we'll be back with that. Anything, Dr. A, you want to mention before we wrap up?
This was a good conversation. I always appreciate seeing something when I'm younger and then seeing it with adult eyes. It
Absolutely.
was um it was very good to again see something that I hadn't like thought of before and be able to dissect it and pull some good things from it. So I would definitely say having good friends in your life is priceless, apparently, because if you could have had trash friends and then he wouldn't got married. So, so
Listen, if he had trash friends, they wouldn't even date it, because apparently Slim liked the two, and
oh,
but went to her and gave her Mike's number. No, I
oh,
mean
okay.
Roland's number.
Yeah.
So yeah, so very interesting. So yeah, so thank you all who popped on, who hung out the whole time, who will watch the replay. We really appreciate that. And again, just want to mention Swag, the support, worship, and accountability group that's starting next month. If you're interested in that, go to drshalay.com/current events. I think I said that earlier. And registration is open for a whole woman expo, which is going to be an amazing time. And you want to be there. The first 25 ladies to register will get the early bird discounted rate. So you want to go check that out. And I think that's it. Always be on the lookout for random lives that Dr. A does, that I do, that we do together,
Mhm.
however the spirit moves us.
Yep.
So, yes, this was awesome. Thank you guys again for hanging out, and we will see you next time. Be
Next
blessed.
time.
Dr. S. Bye, guys.